We have a party that I think needs to design and develop a compelling economic vision for the future where people feel included, to reconcile the fact that if we don't democratize our economy, we're not going to save democracy. And I don't think it's healthy.
Gavin Newsom says this to you. Thanks, Donald Trump. Burbank Airport has 0 air traffic controllers from 4:15 to 10 p.m. today because of your government shutdown. I know you guys like to spar. Do you have an answer for it?
This guy's unbelievable. The bottom line is every Republican has voted to keep the government open.
Get ready, because we're about to reveal a shocking and completely unexpected showdown between Duffy and Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, that Gavin Newsom. Somehow, Duffy didn't just shake the governor's confidence. He completely ran over it, taking the perfect hairstyle and maybe even those old talking points down with it. Whatever Duffy brought to the table left Newsom staring into empty space, as if his mind suddenly froze right in the middle of a sentence. You're about to see a political roast, so intense it almost feels like it should come with a pair of safety goggles. So let's jump straight into this wild and unforgettable chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about our democracy. It's about the future of this republic. I think it's about, what the founding fathers lived and died for, this notion of the rule of law, not the rule of Don, this notion of popular sovereignty, fundamentally.
We pulled $40 million from the state of California because they were refusing to comply with our English proficiency language requirements. We're getting information from state troopers in the state of California that Gavin Newsom has specifically told them, don't comply with this requirement from the Department of Transportation.
Duffy burst into the political scene the same way a squirrel crashes a picnic, unexpected, impossible to stop, and completely uninterested in following anyone else's rules. While most public figures stick to carefully rehearsed lines and camera-ready smiles, Duffy showed up with 0 patience for nonsense and a level of confidence usually seen in people who have never lost an online argument and never expected to. He wasn't interested in playing it safe or saying what everyone wanted to hear. Instead, he walked in ready to say exactly what was on his mind, no matter who happened to be listening.
Senate, it was a bipartisan vote. It was Democrats that voted to shut down the government, and Gavin Newsom wants to blame Donald Trump, who had a clean CR. They're fighting over potential money going into Obamacare and healthcare subsidies that happen at the end of this year, right? The reason they're shutting it down today is because illegals aren't getting health benefits today because of what Donald Trump did in the big, beautiful bill. So again, they're saying we care about what's going to happen at the end of the year, but they're shutting it down right now because they want illegals.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because your support helps more than you probably realize. Everything started with one simple observation from Duffy, the kind that cuts through the noise like a sharp kitchen knife in a cooking commercial. In an instant, the governor's usual calm and confident image began to flicker like a streetlight struggling to stay on during a strong wind. Duffy didn't need to shout or put on a dramatic performance. Instead, he delivered a perfectly timed comedic hit that landed before the target even realized anything had been fired in the first place.
Number one. But number two, in regard to the non-domiciled commercial driver's licenses, we've asked for compliance for those states to, again, go back and look at the licenses to verify that they were issued lawfully. California is less than cooperative, and we're in the process of going through a review, and we have the opportunity to pull $160 million of additional dollars from the state of California.
Without any warning, Newsom suddenly found himself becoming the unexpected star of a highlight reel he never signed up for and certainly never planned to appear in. Duffy moved with the easy confidence of a cat casually knocking things off a kitchen counter, pointing out contradictions with a relaxed shrug that quietly suggested these problems were obvious to anyone with basic common sense and open eyes. Every observation felt simple, natural, and impossible to ignore, making each point land harder than the one before it.
You get a license, Lawrence, in California. That doesn't mean you stay with your CDL in California. You can drive anywhere in the country.
Sean, my dad's a truck driver. He's been telling me about this for years, but shouldn't the punishment be more severe? If you're putting someone on the road and you know they didn't pass that test, and your son, someone dies, you're a former prosecutor. They should be held criminally liable for that.
But am I going to prosecute Gavin Newsom for not following the law?
Of course. People die.
Meanwhile, The governor's imaginary eyebrows looked like they were trying to perform a political backflip, and there was never any real debate or meaningful back and forth to be found. What happened instead was a joyful takedown delivered with the excitement of someone who had waited forever for the perfect chance to point out the emperor's questionable fashion choices. Every point Duffy made landed with incredible precision that could make even an experienced surgeon jealous, and not a single sentence felt wasted. The governor's policies, public appearances, and signature polished image were all placed under a spotlight, so bright it almost seemed powerful enough to fry an egg. Picture Gavin Newsom, normally standing as if he's posing for an official portrait even while ordering a cup of coffee, suddenly realizing someone had turned his political world into a full comedy show. It wasn't mean or cruel. It was simply sharp, observant, and surprisingly accurate from beginning to end.
Secretary Noem, we have driven those numbers down. Get California, Gavin Newsom, to revoke 17,000 unlawfully issued licenses. We've closed down half of the fake schools that give out these fake licenses, all critically important. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota gave 33% of these licenses unlawfully. People that should never have a driver's license driving a big rig on American roads.
And believe me, you are not even close to being ready for what comes next. Duffy handled the analysis like a skilled chef judging a restaurant that was famous for fancy-looking plates, but served very little food. The impressive presentation may have fooled some people, but Duffy's eye was far too sharp to be distracted by style alone. His commentary cut straight through the gestures, speeches, and dramatic pauses, peeling everything back to its very core. And without the bright lights and carefully planned stage setting, that core was nowhere near as impressive. The governor's usual confidence, polished, practiced, and carefully built to reassure people, started to shake under Duffy's comedic spotlight almost right away. The real brilliance was in the way he delivered every point, because he never came across like an angry critic holding a grudge. Instead, there was a playful touch, like someone gently pressing on a balloon just to see how much pressure it could handle before making a sound. And make a sound it certainly did. That perfectly polished image, usually made for campaign posters and glossy press photos, slowly started looking like a hologram flickering during a software update. Duffy pointed out the obvious, the ignored details, and the questions people should have been asking months ago, all without raising his voice or showing even the slightest effort.
Years into the future because of this shutdown. Yes.
Secretary Chase Williams of Fox Business. You said if California doesn't comply, you're going to withhold federal highway fund. I think you said $160 million. That'll double in year two. Have you spoken to Governor Newsom, and have there been any discussions between you two?
We haven't talked. I've seen some tweets he sent out, but no, we haven't had a conversation. Open to talk to him. Again, we just want compliance. We want him to be concerned about the safety.
As the breakdown continued, viewers couldn't look away, because this wasn't just another political moment. It turned into a complete lesson in comedic takedowns happening right before everyone's eyes. Duffy moved from one point to the next with transitions, so smooth they looked carefully planned from the beginning. One moment he exposed an obvious contradiction, and the next he called out a decision that aged faster than milk left outside on a hot afternoon. Just when it seemed like the roast couldn't get any better, Duffy uncovered another fresh angle, another contradiction, and another crack in the governor's polished public image that demanded attention. Gavin Newsom, usually surrounded by applause, cameras, and carefully planned appearances, suddenly found himself at the center of a roast he never expected and definitely never wanted. Every moment flowed naturally into the next with the easy rhythm of a musician who had practiced for years. Duffy unpacked one political promise after another, like opening a suitcase filled with mismatched expectations. And the funny part was that the suitcase didn't even need to be that full, because Newsom's own public record provided more than enough material to keep the audience entertained from beginning to end.
Very simple. Get into compliance now, or we'll pull funding and we'll force you into compliance. Nowhere in the country have we found a more egregious licensing situation than in the state of California. That's why the second action we're announcing today is an additional enforcement action against California. So for 2 weeks, FMCSA investigators were on site in California actually looking at their records.
As the commentary moved forward, the audience found themselves laughing, nodding, and sometimes stopping for a moment just to take in how surprisingly accurate Duffy's observations really were. There was no cruelty in his words, only the kind of honesty that often hits much harder than direct insults ever could. Newsom's polished, camera-ready image never stood a real chance under the bright comedic spotlight Duffy carried with him so naturally. Some moments landed so perfectly that viewers had to rewind the video just to make sure they really heard them the first time. Duffy would point out a contradiction, so clear it almost seemed to shine on its own, then smoothly move into another comparison that left Newsom's carefully built public image shaking like an inflatable mascot caught in a powerful wind. Every assumption was questioned, every excuse was tested, and every doubtful decision was brought into the spotlight with the quick wit and humor that audiences always enjoy watching.
Basically switch the penalty to be a slap on the wrist. No real penalty if you can't speak the language. We went back to the pre-Obama change and would take vehicles out of service, which is very complicated for a company if you're taking their vehicles out of service. We went back to the old rule. One of the problems we have is California was the only state that in essence have told their law enforcement officers not to enforce English proficiency.
The ending came together like the final piece of a puzzle sliding perfectly into place. Duffy finished the takedown with a quiet confidence that didn't need loud applause, dramatic music, or special effects to make its impact. Gavin Newsom, whether he ever admits it or not, had been completely and memorably picked apart, not through anger or personal attacks, but through the unstoppable power of humor used by someone who knew exactly where each point would have the biggest effect. By the time the final comment landed, it was impossible to ignore that Duffy hadn't simply cracked the governor's polished image. He rolled straight through it, leaving behind one of the sharpest, funniest, and most entertaining political breakdowns anyone could hope to see. As the commentary came to a close, the governor's usually unshakable image looked less like solid stone and more like a soft pudding statue trying to stand tall. Duffy pointed out every weakness with the excitement of someone unlocking hidden levels in a video game, and each new reveal felt even more satisfying than the one before it.